Welcome to the Zoom room, you all. Welcome back to Zoom. Thank you all for being here for LaKea's final virtual Black History Month Lunch and Learn session. We appreciate you all for sharing your lunch with us. And know that you will walk away inspired. LaKea lives the 3 mantra. Our mantra is that we elevate, educate, and empower. And we hope and pray that you will leave today's session empowered, encouraged, and with a call to action to move the needle towards equity and change. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to ask everyone to go ahead and take an opportunity to mute yourselves as we start today's program. Welcome to the last virtual Lunch and Learn. I don't want to take a lot of time with doing a lot of niceties, so to speak, and welcoming and things of that nature, because I want us to be able to get down to the grit and the essence of today's conversation. I asked Ms. Sheryl Spiller to join us because, as you all are aware, that African Americans in labor, the past, the present, and our future is the 2025 Black History Month theme. So I thought it would be fitting for us to ask Ms. Sheryl Spiller to join us because, as many of you are aware, she is the first African American that have led the world's the nation's largest welfare agency to date. With over 50 years of county service, I'm sure that she has had a wealth of experiences and tips that she can share with us to move us through our career. As serving as the president of LaKea, I've heard from many of our members that are feeling discouraged at this time. And we just felt that bringing someone who have had the experience, who have walked in their shoes, would be encouraging at this time. So with that, I just want to thank Mrs. Spiller for being here with us today, because we understand that you're retired now. So we know that your time is very, very precious, because after 50 years now, you get to do what you want to do. And we're happy that you chose to be with us here today. So with that, Ms. Spiller, talk to us.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Delora. Thank you for thinking of me. And I do want you to know that even after 50 years of service, you can always call on me. So I appreciate you thinking of me to join with you guys today. And I also want to congratulate you, because I understand tomorrow you're going to be sworn in again as president for another term. And I want you to know how much I personally appreciate you, and on behalf of the African Americans in this county, for the work that you do, for the commitment and dedication. I mean, you have a tough job now, and truly looking ahead, it's not going to get any easier. So thank you for, dedicating your time to addressing the issues that are unique to African Americans. So with that, I know I only have a few minutes, so I want to just focus on a couple of remarks, things that I think that will be helpful. I know that people are feeling frustrated and they're feeling disheartened by some of the things that are going on. And the first thing I want to do is to say that, let me acknowledge that the struggle is real. and that the stress that you're feeling and the frustration that you're feeling is real. I want to say that up front, because then when I say later on, I'm going to tell you about some things to do, I don't want you to think that I don't understand what you're going through. Trust me that after 50 years of service, I've been through all of it. And even though, as I tell you some of these things, I don't have time to give you examples of everything, but trust me that I do have them. And so I personally have experienced these things, and the things I'm telling you are things that I've actually done and that have worked for me. So this is African American History Month. And so just looking at what our struggle has been, just know that the struggle continues. And there'll be people that'll tell us that things have gotten better, and they have, but that doesn't mean they're good. So just understanding that, and I want to make sure that you understand that we hear you and we're not discounting what's going on. So I would say, first of all, to stay positive, and that you're going to have to look for the positivity in the things that are happening. And for me, there's no other option. You've got to do that. You can't get down and stay down. Now, one of the things that I used to do, because I used to go through this frustration too, is that I would allow myself 30 minutes to waddle in whatever self-pity and, oh, that was so unfair, and why did this happen? And after that, then it was like, okay, pick yourself up and just get back out there and get back to the fight. So, and you have to train yourself to look for the positivity in things that are happening. Maybe you missed out on a certain job, or or something was promised, or just look and see. Because I've missed jobs where I look back and I thank God that I didn't get that job. So if you trust in what's right, and that what's for you, you'll get, and just believe that and stay positive. The other thing is that you have to be adaptable. That so many people don't like change and they don't want to change. You have to adapt to the times, and you're going to have to adapt more than the times to the game. That's what this is all about. And I'm not asking people to change who you are or to change your principles, but you're going to have to adapt. One of the things I thought about just in preparing for this was that I remember a time when we didn't get jobs because we were told you don't have college education, you don't have a degree. So what happened? We all went back to school and we all got AABAs, double masters and PhDs, and we came back and we applied for those jobs, and they brought somebody in from outside and they said, well, you know what? Education isn't all there is. We need people with experience. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, that we have to adapt to. We can argue that, but what we need to do is to continue to adapt to the point that we can succeed and get maybe to the level where, guess what? You can make the rules and you don't have to worry about them changing on you. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you have to maintain your personal integrity. And with that, I mean, I can honestly say that even though I felt hurt by some of the situations I was put in, some of the things that happened to me, I did my personal best every single day. And that wasn't so much for the where I was working, that was for me. And that I needed to do that. This is my life. And so if you look at it like that, that you want to give out your personal best every day. If you go to work and you're angry with somebody, so you're not going to do this job, that's not really hurting them. In the long run, that's your integrity that's being degraded. So I would say do your personal best regardless of what's happening around you. And know and understand that we are going to have to be 5 times better than our counterparts. That's a reality. We can argue that and we can fight that, but it's good. That's the way it is. And so you're going to have to work hard regardless. Be prepared to work hard. I remember I had a sign in my office that said, opportunity is often missed because it's disguised as hard work. So just be prepared that you are going to have to work hard. Another thing that, and probably one of the most important things, going back to that, I have a little note here that says karma is real. So that's another part of whatever you put out, you're going to get back. Now, and you may not see it right now. It may not come back directly the way that you put it out. You may not get the job that you thought that you wanted. But when you put out good, when you work hard, that's what you're going to get back to you. The one of the last things I want to say was that, and probably most important, is that we have to stay united. That what's going on right now with the powers that be, what they want to do is to divide us. And they're trying to divide us in all kinds of ways, not just by ethnicity, by gender, by location, red state, blue states, that it's important that we stay together and that we join in on an organization like LaKea that's looking out for the unique needs that we have, and that we're looking out for one another. I know there's this me generation, and people say, well, I have to look out for me. Well, you know what? Those people are not going to survive. You're just not going to be able to survive out there just for me. So I would suggest that people join LaKea, tell their friends, their colleagues that they need to get on board and to support you and the organization, because you're the ones that's supporting all of us. One last thing I want to say, and I'll keep to the time, is that these are very different times now. And that I know there are things that are happening on the national level, that there's probably the worst time for people appreciating government employees. And right now we're looking at things happening on the federal level, but trust me, that is going to dwindle down, and it's going to trickle down, and it's going to trickle down to local levels and of government. And for one reason, just the funding alone is that when they cut the jobs at the federal level and they cut those programs, that many of our programs are federally funded. Many of the state programs are federal. So those funds are going to impact, the lack of those funds would impact us. I think just about the CalFresh program, and from my time, we were bringing in anywhere from $1 to $2 billion a month in assistance. When that money doesn't flow into this county, everyone is going to feel the impact of that. So with that, I just say that we need to be prepared. And on another light of that is that people now are going to be impacted. People who have been, what I would say, privileged in the past are now going to see what it feels like to have unfair things happen to them. How that's going to play out, I have no idea, but I just say we just need to be prepared for those different times that are coming to us. So again, I thank you for having this time to talk with you, and for inviting me. And I just so appreciate the work that you're doing. And I am here for you if there's anything I can ever do to help. Thanks, Delora.
Really, really appreciate your comments. If you all can join me in giving her this a round of applause and a gratitude of thanks by using your reaction keys. The applause key is there. And with that, I'll turn you over into the hands of our second Vice President, Black History Month Chair, Ms. Tina Robertson from the Child Support Services Department.
Thank you, Ms. Delora Ellis. I appreciate you. Thank you, Ms. Sheryl Spiller. That was so inspiring and so much great information for me to take on my 2 more years with the county. Thank you so, so much. I'm here today to introduce Dr. Jackie Contreras. Dr. Contreras was appointed on February 28, 2023, to serve as director of the Los Angeles County Department of Public Social Services, which administers a budget of more than $5.5 billion and serve over 5 million residents. Wow, that's a lot. She remains keenly focused on the timely provisions of quality services to both internal and external stakeholders, and transformational efforts to equitably promote economic mobility and well-being for everyone DPSS serves. Prior to joining DPSS, Dr. Contreras served as a managing director for Casey Family Programs, Direct Service Offices, where she led policy and practice efforts that included the development and implementation of a functional assessment and a culturally responsive family-centered practice model grounded in trauma and healing-informed care. Additionally, she served in various capacities as a child welfare administrator for the LA County Department of Children and Family Services and worked as a psychologist and manager for the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health. Dr. Contreras received her BA in psychology from UCLA, her master's and PhD in clinical psychology from the California School of Professional Psychology at Alliant University. I introduce to some, I present to others, Dr. Jackie Contreras.
Thank you so much, Tina. That is so kind of you. Delora, thank you both for having me here today. Ms. Spiller, always a pleasure to see you and to learn from you. Happy Black History Month, everyone. I am going to be pretty quick. If we can pull up the slides, my job here is really just to set the stage for Derrick and LaShonda, who are going to share their expertise today. Is there someone who can pull up the slides or?
Yeah, she should be doing it now.
Okay.
Jessina? There we go.
Yeah, so I've had if we can go to the next slide. I've had the pleasure of being the director now for 2 years. I was appointed 2 years ago. I did act for 9 months. So if you ever get the opportunity to act, you never know where you can end up. So I encourage you all to take that opportunity. What you see outlined here is some of the things that we're really focusing on. And this is all from our strategic plan, our 22-27 strategic plan. And one of the things I was really excited about when I came back to the county was the RD initiative. That did not exist when I left the county. And so I just saw so much potential, met Dr. Scorza early on, and saw so much potential about our work, because we know that public social services, like many systems, historically are rooted in systemic racism. They're just the way the policies were put together, the scrutiny that that our customers have to undergo, like all of those dynamics. So RD really became an opportunity for us to be able to look at that more in earnest. And so we are looking at our data. We are understanding our services, and we're coming at it from a perspective of diversity, equity, inclusion in all that we do. We also know that this is a shift in our work. So enhancing our training programs for employees to build sort of their soft skills in being able to do the work differently. Historically, a lot of the eligibility work was about processing, getting it done, and that's still absolutely a priority. And we know that we need to be better connected to our communities. I sometimes like to say to the team, we have to be better advocates than the advocates, and we have to be better advocates for our employees than the union. And that's not to take away from either of those bodies. They're incredibly important. But if we can do that, right, we can really meet them, because ultimately we have the same goal. And that is a different approach. We also need to listen to our customers and understand their lived experience, because that's critical to making sure that we're meeting their needs and that we're able to improve our services ongoing. We have an Office of Equity, and I think I saw Magali Williams on there. So DPSS has an Office of Equity now that's helping to lead this work. We also have an internal steering committee, and both LaShonda and Derrick are members and Magali are members of that internal steering committee. It's not easy work. We're kind of learning sometimes as we go, but we see the importance and we want to move it forward. The last thing I'll say on that point is I always present this work as looking at 4 levels of oppression and change. We need to attend to all of them. So at an individual level, do you have knowledge of other cultures? How are you informing yourself? How are you immersing yourself? And one of the beauties of the employee associations is they serve as allies for one another. You all back each other up. You learn from one another. You support one another in your efforts. So what is your knowledge base in that space? Interpersonal, how do we relate to one another, right? There are often challenges in relating across cultures, relating across difference. So how do we think about that? And then organizationally, a lot of times that's our policies and our procedures. And both LaShonda and Derrick will speak to that. And then lastly, cultural. Sometimes we don't pay attention to this. It's just the way things are. Ms. Spiller spoke to some of this, right? Like some of the things that are particularly challenging for some groups rather than others. Like how does that culture play out and how do we address it? So if we can go to the next slide. Now, I think, Derrick can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we actually have Ms. Spiller to thank for this report. So I get a quarterly report that looks at by race, ethnicity, by gender, across all of our programs, at the management level, at the staff level, that looks at our workforce. And here you'll see for Black people, 17.2%. So about almost double of what you would see in the population as a whole, and very commensurate with the population that we serve. That is critically important to me. Our workforce needs to represent our customers, the people that we're serving. And so it's something that we pay a lot of attention to. I take pride in the fact that we do it well overall. And if you were to see the full report, you would see that within certain units, we don't necessarily see that. And so some of our work is in being able to highlight where those misses are. And for me, that means bringing your whole self to the work. We all have lived experience. We like to talk a lot about bringing in people with lived experience. We all have lived experience. So if we can bring that to the work, right, it's going to enhance ultimately what we're able to do. And so with that, I think Derrick, is it Derrick that's going to go first, or LaShonda?
I believe I'm going first, Jen.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to LaShonda. She's one of our newer members of our senior executive team. So excited that she decided to take on that opportunity. And with that, LaShonda.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm LaShonda Diggs, one of the assistant directors here at DPSS. I oversee the Bureau of Workforce Services South. I first just want to, I appreciate the opportunity to share this information with LaKea membership about the work that we do in DPSS to help support and elevate employees in the advancement of their county careers. In DPSS, our work to help individuals achieve gainful employment and advance in their careers begins far before they become employed with LA County. I mean, as a safety net organization, in addition to the programs and services we provide to individuals and families, such as cash, food, medical, and housing support, we also provide employment and training through our GAIN program, which is the Greater Avenues for Independence, and our START program, which is the skills and training to achieve readiness for tomorrow. And we believe that successful participation in these programs often lead for gainful employment within our community employers, as well as the County of Los Angeles. So why is this important? It's important because our data shows that a significant number of individuals and families served by our programs are from communities of color. And we also know, as Dr. Contreras alluded to, that systemic racism and oppression have created barriers that have made it a challenge for our community to gain stability and provide for themselves as well as their family. So with the support from the Board of Supervisors through various initiatives, including ARDI, the Second Chance Initiative, our department has taken steps to enhance our services. We're looking at re-examining all of our policies, our programs and services, and we're looking at it through an equity lens so we can remove barriers and create better opportunities. So today, I'm going to highlight one of our efforts, which is our General Relief redesign. So the GR program, it provides cash assistance to individuals who are not entitled to any state or federal assistance programs. And we selected this program because our data shows that over 60% of the individuals receiving GR are persons of color, with a disproportionate 33% of them being of African-American descent. And the GR program, most of you know, it hasn't undergone like a major policy reform in over 100 years. And because this program is 100% county cost, there has been a hesitation in the past to make major changes because of the cost implications. But now we're at the point now that we know by not taking a thorough look at this program, we are prioritizing cost efficiency over the well-being and the self-sufficiency of our participants. So we're looking at the outdated structure of the program because we know it doesn't reflect the economic realities of 2025. or the best practices for marginalized populations. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So from a historical perspective, the GR program was originally implemented under the Pauper Act of 1901, and it was primarily to assist white indigent adults. Today, we have a grant of $221 monthly, and we know that's insufficient in meeting the basic needs of LA County individuals. And looking at some of the data, we know that it further underscores the racial disparities within the program. We have over 123,000 individuals receiving GR, 33% are Black, 68% are male, 81% are between the ages of 25 to 29. 68% of the population are unhoused, 67% are able to work but are very slow to engage, and 33% have been determined not to be able to work. Next slide. So with that said, we're looking at a path to transformation. So we are taking some very bold steps towards reform and modernizing the program. Some of the key issues that perpetuate poverty in our program that we're trying to overcome, one is the inadequate benefit level. Like I mentioned, there's a grant of $221 per month, which we know is insufficient in covering the basic living expenses in LA County. We've also experienced a lot of bureaucratic hurdles, excessive paperwork, a lot of reporting requirements, a lot of visits. We have strict eligibility rules that exclude many individuals from receiving support. For example, the restrictions based on income, assets, or immigration status, it prevents vulnerable populations from accessing support. Also, the low asset limits prevent individuals from saving money and building financial security. So these things just make it difficult for individuals to escape poverty and achieve long-term stability. Next slide, please. So our vision for our redesign is we want to shift from a punitive model to one that empowers individuals towards financial stability, which means we're looking at simplifying the eligibility criteria to be more inclusive. We need to ensure that marginalized and underserved communities receive the support they need, and this will address the systemic inequities and promote social justice. We're also looking at creating a comprehensive support system beyond the cash assistance by eliminating some of those projects and services that we know are not effective, and to look at ways to have the program more cost-effective and easy to manage. We also have taken a lot of bold steps in redesigning our employment program for single adults. So it's not focused on compliance, and it's not about meeting a certain number of hours per month to retain your GR benefits, but it's looking at different career paths, subsidized employment, and entrepreneurship, something that we haven't really looked at in the past. We believe by integrating elements of guaranteed income, some of you may have heard about our Take Opportunity Guaranteed Income Program that we implemented for our transition age youth in GR, and we're bringing elements like financial literacy and other expanded financial and employment supports to help that population achieve economic mobility. Next slide, please. So we're looking at it from the approach of a human-centered design. So we really started engaging the community, involving all the stakeholders, especially those with lived experience. We involved them at the onset of this project to get their feedback and buy-in up front. We also did a number of community focus groups, community listening sessions. We talked to GR participants, community-based organization. We had meetings with the legal advocates. We looked at what other counties are doing. So we want to make sure we have the full voice and perspectives as we look to redesign our program. Next slide, please. So, like I said, for the past decade, we've been really focusing on our TAPE population, the transition age youth from 18 to 24, because we want to ensure that they have a firm foundation as they embark on independence and enter the workforce. And recognizing this unique challenge, we developed the TAPE Opportunity Guaranteed Income Program. And it's for individuals who are currently enrolled in our employment program for single adults, which is START. And actually, this initiative emerged from a summit we had where young Black men expressed their need for greater employment and career opportunities. So that was a catalyst for the department to choose the TAPE population and implement this guaranteed income program. So, as the conversation around guaranteed income gained traction, we implemented our first program here in LA County in August 30th, 2022. So it's been going, this is the last year, this current year. We provide $1,000 payment to 300 GR TAPE participants each month. In our GR program, we also provide employment, entrepreneurship, and apprenticeship opportunities. We also provide benefits counseling, financial literacy, money management support, and ongoing case management to support them during these 3 years. So they do have that foundation that I mentioned earlier that is going to catapult them and help them enter the labor market. So we just believe by embracing anti-racist policies, by not embracing anti-racist policy, we want to redesign the program because we believe it's outdated. We want to implement more guaranteed income-like concepts into our new program. And hopefully that leads to a transformed way that we provide public assistance throughout LA County. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Derrick Robinson.
All right, thank you, LaShonda. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derrick Robinson. I'm the Director of Human Resources for DPSS. First, want to thank you, Delora and Lakia, for certainly inviting us here today. I also want to thank you for inviting who I believe are two great leaders in LA County, both Sheryl Spiller, who we certainly affectionately know as our first African-American director in DPSS, and then now Dr. Contreras, who is now our current leader. And for both of these leaders, since I had the pleasure of serving under both of them, they bring to the table is their passion, right? Their passion in doing this work. And now that we are in the climate of dealing with attacks on affirmative action and equity and inclusion and all the things we're seeing happening today, having someone like Dr. Contreras with her background and passion for this kind of work is certainly for us right now the right leader at the right time. So thank you for that, Jackie. What I like to do right now, next slide, please, is to first continue and thinking about the work that we do around anti-racism, diversity, and inclusion, and as well as the Second Chance Initiative, right? When it comes to employment, right? So the work that Dr. Contreras says that we do around the table, that LaShonda and I are involved in, are looking at everything holistically, right? Both on the public service side, because we know that a great number of people of color are on our programs. How do we help that population transition into gainful employment? And then within our employment, what are we doing in reviewing our own policies that have the unintended consequence of adversely impacting folks who were formerly incarcerated, may have had past criminal convictions, barring them for employment with us, right? So in DPSS, we started looking at our personnel policies and our practices through an RD lens, right? And looking at them and seeing, okay, these policies have been around for decades, 30, 40 years. So if you had an infraction, let's say a welfare fraud 30 years ago, that would bar you from being employed with DPSS without considering any other mitigating factors in between. What was the person's lived experience? How have they lived their life since then? They're not on probation. This person's gone on to get education, raise a family. Looking at other factors, mitigating factors, and removing some of the barriers that exist within our policies and practices is something that we've really been focused on doing in DPSS, and we continue to do. I wanted to share real quick when it comes to live scan. Everyone knows in LA County that everyone goes through a live scan looking at your background and history. In last year, January 1st through January 31st, 2024, we live scanned 3,360 individuals, right? And of them, 290 had a criminal background. Now, under our old policies, a great number of those would be barred from employment with DPSS. By the work we've been doing, both with Department of Human Resources, we'll report out on our fair chance initiatives. You can see the numbers that we have of the 290 hits. We have 250 of them that we actually deem suitable for hire, which is the great majority, right? We have 36 unsuitable for hire. And then we have 4 that are pending decision, because as we continue to examine what are the other things we can consider, right, in terms of getting these people. The goal is to get them employed, not to deny employment. So I just want to just highlight real quick some of the work we're doing on the personnel policy and practice side to create better opportunities for folks who may have been involved with the criminal justice system, which we all know and understand has its own oppressive factor when it comes to people of color, right? So next slide, please. And so then going back to what LaShonda, where she left off in terms of our efforts to strengthen our programs. And I really thought it was important that we actually highlight the work that we're doing on the other side of the table to help our participants achieve gainful employment, right? And so here, once these folks are going through our programs, we do have what they call the Gain in the Start program, where once our program participants are ready for employment, we actually administer a clerical exam to give them a career path into county employment. And this effort is actually supported by the Board of Supervisors under Board Policy 9.120, where county departments are encouraged to hire participants from the eligible register produced by DPSS into entry-level clerical positions, thus starting their county career, right? And the business partners we have here, as I mentioned, is DHR, along with our program and policy team, our line operations, where our workforce development programs are, and then other county departments who also participate and provide career opportunities for this population. Next slide. We actually can pass this, and I've kind of talked about the list that we promulgate and the fact that DHR helps us in communicating with county departments. Next slide, please. What I'd like to share with you is the data, though. So here with this Gain Grow opportunity that we provide to former participants, it's just some data for you. Since January 1st of 2015 to January 15th of 2025, we've hired 466 former participants into gainful employment. These people are actually employed now with LA County, not as clerks. Many of them have gone on to advance their career. Because once they become county employees, what we do is also create a career opportunity for this population. So we have the Eligibility Worker 1 series, which is a higher level that we actually administer to our clerical population, thus giving them the career path to achieve Eligibility Worker 1. And then we know Eligibility Worker 2 on to supervisors, and if they stay on the path, even into supervisor or management positions. So creating that career path for folks that were formerly served by our programs, we feel is not only our mission as an organization, but creating that career opportunity for these participants. Next slide, please. So strategic plan. I wanted to highlight our strategic plan, but we believe that certainly for any opportunity for employees to advance employees through workforce development, it must first be embraced by the organization. The organization has to actually invest in its workforce and create those resources and opportunities for career advancement. And in DPSS, we have for our most recent strategic plan that goes, I believe, through 2027, have made our strategic plan priority for investing in our people, which is the one that I lead, that strategy that's going to put that focus and effort on creating career opportunities and support for our staffs in advancing their careers. I just wanted to highlight briefly 5 of those areas that we're really focused in this work. It's through our next slide. Well, excuse me, Career Development Resource Center, which is what this one is which is a resource center that can be accessed by our staff. Right? We have these CDRCs, we call them, in offices, and we actually have them online for employees to access, to be able to get access to written and oral communication skills, for them to enrich their building and advancement and professional development, as well as resume writing and interview skills. So this is a resource that's available to employees that they can take advantage of. And we do allow up to 4 hours per month for staff to be able to visit the CDRC, so they can further enhance their skills. Next slide, please. Tuition reimbursement and continuing education is very important, right? So one of the things we always encourage employees to do is to advance their knowledge and their skills, focusing on personal and professional growth. And we make available a tuition reimbursement fund of $470,000 a year that employees can take advantage of, that would assist them with their tuition fees, right? And then to complement that, we also have partnerships with colleges and universities that offers employees an opportunity to obtain a 2-year and a 4-year degree. So we have, I know Cal State Dominguez and several other colleges that partner with us in this effort. And an important element of pursuing your higher education is having policies to support the ability to do so, right? Through our educational leave program, you can take advantage of, as well as flex time. If you need to leave early, 1 or 2 hours to get to class on time, we have a policy where you can make it up during the rest of the week. So trying to be flexible and supportive of employees in their continuing education is something that we want to create that culture. Next slide, please. Workforce development. So these are, efforts that we have in focusing on where people are in their careers. Here we have the clerical skill building program that certainly try to build upon their skills and get them ready for advancement throughout their careers. Once they're in a supervisory position, we do partner with the Department of Human Resources to take advantage of their leadership development programs, all the way from the supervisory level here, through the leadership development program, through the management development program, and then our partnership that we have with the Southern Area Consortium of Human Services, SACS out of San Diego, our Leaders in Action. So we're active at all levels of our organization in helping employees achieve personal and professional growth, right? And trying to assist them in getting to where they want to go in their accounting careers. Next slide. So what I'd like to add here, because I want to be mindful about the protocols around PowerPoint slides and not to have too many of them, right? I was already told by someone, there's too many slides. But what I do want to now engage in is a conversation about, now that the county and DPSS has done everything to help employees further their careers. We give you the resources and assist you. But now what happens next? And what I want to say to this group here is the most important factor and key in career advancement is the individual. It's the employee. It's getting yourself ready for career advancement, right? And I had to learn this early on in my career. I'd like to just share what happened with me. So I served in the military and came into DPSS as an eligibility worker 1, high school diploma. And an employee was walking around the office with a job application and a job bulletin. And I didn't know what they were doing. And so she stopped at my desk and says, Mr. Robinson, do you have 60 units from accredited college? I said, well, no, I don't. She said, thank you, and moved on. And she goes to the individual next to me and asks my desk mate, who had 60 units, who was given a job application and a job bulletin. And of course, I rubbernecked after the lady left. And I said, what is that? Well, it was a job opportunity. It was a career opportunity that was only available to employees that had 60 units from the accredited college, something I did not have. So no matter how good I thought I was and better than my desk mate, I couldn't even compete for the job that she was eligible to apply for. And that hit me like a brick. That, wow, I can't even compete for this job. Immediately, I ran over to Southwest Junior College over there off of Imperial and enrolled myself in school, right? And to get that 60 units and got that 60 units and then continued until I got a bachelor's degree. It's important for us to take the steps that we need to take to be ready for the opportunity when the opportunity comes. And that's what I wanted to kind of share with this group here. Because as Sheryl Spiller says, there's going to always be a moving of the goalposts and always changing of the rules. And you have to double down and be better and get better. And so I wanted to share a couple of other tips that I have for what I've learned in my career in terms of with this group that you might find useful as you navigate and advance in your careers. One would be map out your career. What is it that you want to do? Where is it that you want to go? Just don't apply for a job just for the sake of applying for it and meeting the minimum requirements. Is this your passion? Is this something that you want to do? And once you identify that's what it is, then start taking the steps. Pull the minimum requirements of that job. What are they asking for? Start doing your own career mapping. What steps do I need to take in order to get into this position, right? And that's going to really help you get into the job and understand the job that you're applying for. Now, true story, just today, one of my junior staff walked in my office and said to me that she's on the eligible list for the DCSR position. I said, well, what is that? So she was trying to come up with oh, you mean the Department of Civil Services representative? Oh, my performance managers. I said, what do they do? She says, I don't know, but I'm in band one, right? So I said to her, listen, what I need you to do is, and of course, she was in band one, she met the requirements, but understand the job that you're applying for. I want you to learn about that job. Pull up the class specs, read what it is that they do. Talk with your coworkers and folks that are doing that job. What is this job? And first understand, is this something that you want to do? Right? So I think that many times that employees, especially today's generation is coming into the workforce, because I have one in my own family who is, I don't know what they call these 26-year-olds. Are they General Zs? What are they? Are they General Z now? I don't know. I just know she doesn't listen. But anyway, what I want to say about that is there's a sense of urgency to get to the top very fast, right? And what I would say to today's workforce is I want you to stay in the job long enough to master a skill, to learn a job. Because as you advance in your organization, that job knowledge that you build is going to help you as you advance in your career. I reviewed a resume about a month ago where a person was in the county for 6 years and had 5 different jobs, barely stayed enough for probationary period. I'm sharing that because when hiring managers look at a resume, they're looking at both education and job knowledge and skills. And what's going to set you apart from the rest of the crowd and make you the desirable candidate? So everyone met the middle requirements on the list, but what sets you apart from everybody else? Well, what's going to set you apart is that knowledge, that experience, and those skills. If I see that you moved across so fast, and you left before the probationary period, what is that telling me? Right? We have now become a county and a department that is a very well educated department. We really now are looking for the balance in the scales of both education and experience. Delora, we've been around long enough to see the pendulum swing to where if you didn't have experience, don't mind them education. If you didn't have experience, don't come talk to me. I don't care about your education. Then the pendulum swung all the way the other way. If you don't have a degree, don't talk to us, right? Now today's workforce is a balance of both. And today's desirable candidate has a balancing of the scales. It also has what Ms. Spiller said earlier too about having checks in the right boxes around being able to collaborate with others, teamwork, adaptability, all these other soft skills, interpersonal skills. Preparing yourself and positioning yourself to be a complete candidate, and what I would always say a desirable candidate, will set you apart from the rest of the field. Another thing I'd like to share is, and I think for a lot of folks that are on this call that's a part of Lakia, it would be to expand your network. I think you're already doing that by being a part of Lakia and having access and connections with other leaders in this organization. I will say to you to go beyond that, expand beyond that as well. Become involved in the activities in your organization. Charitable giving. Now, I would tell you, in my day, I sold many a Beanie Babies in my day, right? So, but what did that get me, right? So, I mean, I pushed that product, and Kavina, I see you in here too. So we remember them little Beanie Babies, which was something we was really pushing, right? So I pushed that product. But what did it do for me, though? It actually got me out of my office. It got me to departmental headquarters. It got me to connect with other individuals in this organization. So at such time, my name got on the list. They were putting the face with the name. And one division chief actually called me and says, Derrick, I see you on this list. And I said, is this the same Derrick Robinson? Now, if not for those Beanie Babies and my participation in charitable giving, that call probably would never came, that opportunity. Expanding your network, getting involved in not only county events, community events will go a long way in expanding your network, your putting a face to the name of, as I would say, on the list, because there's 100 people in bands nowadays. What's going to set you apart? And so that's why I want today's folks that are looking to advance in their careers to make sure that you do a number of things, preparing yourself for opportunity. Make sure you have the checks in the right boxes. Do you have the right certification, the training, and the education for the job that you want in the future? If not, start setting the stage towards creating that path and getting on that path, just as I had to do with the game service worker experience I shared with you. So I just want to kind of share. And, oh, then the last thing I would share, and Sheryl Spiller, she's still on this call, will remember this one, and she knows this one is don't get comfortable and don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. And I will tell you that was my biggest challenge. Once I get comfort, I'm good. But Sheryl Spiller would never let you rest and always pushed you beyond that. And I would certainly have to say I wouldn't be here today if it was not for that pushing and me coming outside of that comfort zone and trying and experiencing something new. And I would say that Dr. Contreras is of that same cloth. She would certainly call upon you to step out that comfort zone and be there, which is probably one of the reasons me and LaShonda sit here today. No, I'm kidding. No, but kidding, but not kidding, guys. But I tell you, I was so inspired, Delora and Lakia. I must say that in joining this call with all the challenges that we have, I was actually inspired both by this meeting, the discussion with Ms. Spiller, and just having this forum to be able to talk about the challenges that we face today, and then share the strategies that we are undertaking to try to combat some of this. Right. We're just in the first quarter of this, so let's get prepared. So, but thank you again for inviting me.
Well,
This is LaShonda again. I just want to round this off and just share just a few things that I've learned along the way. It's going to be very quick and brief. One thing I learned is leadership is about influence and less about authority. It's influencing, building relationships, earning trust, and inspiring your team to achieve their goals. Because staff will buy into you before they buy into your vision. So make sure that you lead by example and with integrity. Ms. Spiller mentioned this earlier. Change is inevitable, and you have to be able to adapt. You got to be able to pivot, change courses. Policy changes all the time. You have budget uncertainties, and things are not always going to remain the same. You got to know how to navigate bureaucracy. And that requires strategy and practice. You have to be able to balance policy, politics, and public service. You have to know when to push back, negotiate, and you got to know when to step back. Mr. Robinson mentioned about building relationships and networks. Make sure you just have realistic expectations of yourself. Create your own lane. Sometimes there are things that you want to do. Do not wait for someone to approach you and ask you to do something. If it's something you want to do, you create it. If you see a need, draft a proposal. Talk to your boss about it. You got to carve out your own niche sometimes. And lastly, I would just say self-care is not a luxury, it's a requirement. You need to guard your mental health at all costs, and you have to be able to achieve work-life balance. And I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Dolores Ellis Gant.
Thank you so much. I know that we have a couple of minutes left, but we do want to highlight the LaKea service stars before. So everybody just hold on. But LaShonda, Dr. Jackie, and Derrick, we really appreciate the words that you have shared with us, showing us the vision where DPSS is going, the embracement of Artie. It just really came through. So we appreciate you all for being here, but stay tuned because we want to introduce you to our LaKea service stars. This day we have two, and they're from the mighty Department of Public Social Services. So Tina, introduce our stars.
Yes, yes, thank you, thank you. Today we have Miss Covina Tumbling Thornton, who has over 42 years and 3 months and counting. And we also have Miss Renee Conant. And I'm going to ask them a question here today for them to answer. And yes, they are both hailing from the DPSS. Sorry, yeah, had to stand up for this one. You guys can still hear me? So my question is, what is one key piece of advice you would give to new employees to help them succeed and build a lasting career with the County of Los Angeles?
We choosing who going first?
I'm gonna go with Miss Covina first.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. One thing I actually tell my new employees when they come in is be patient, take your time, slow down. Everything you want to accomplish is not going to happen tomorrow, but if you want it, it will eventually happen. And I try and I meet with all the new employees when they initially come in, share some information, share some policies, share my story, and let them know that they too can have the opportunity to sit in the same seat that I sit in, but you have to be patient. You have to learn. You have to build up your skills. Everything is not going to happen the next day. And for the most part, I have really good employees. My new employees are motivated because I try and be a presence with them in the jobs that they're doing. And I continuously encourage them, participate, get involved, learn new things, and together we'll accomplish anything.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll have Miss Renee Conant give her answer for this question.
She put herself, give her a moment.
Okay.
Renee, you want to unmute yourself? Oh. And turn your camera on for us, please. Let's just give her a minute. Renee? I hope the signal didn't. While we wait for her to come back, I believe that there was a question in the chat. Anika, would you
Yes,
read the question?
yes, we have a question from Shamika that states, what steps are being taken to allow the employees to gain the skills necessary outside of their current job titles, specifications to gain the skills needed to get the experience needed to learn and gain the skill sets to promote to supervisory, management, and above positions?
So, Derrick, LaShonda, Dr. Jackie, Kalina, anyone want to weigh in on that? while we wait for Rena?
I think
Derek?
Derek is gonna weigh in on that one. There he is.
We
I'm
vote for
sorry.
Derek.
Well, I was reading a chat, so I have to say I actually missed the question, but I'll be happy to respond if someone would just repeat it.
Yes. What steps are being taken to allow the employee to gain the skills necessary outside of their current job title to gain the skills needed to get the experience needed to learn and gain the skill set to promote to supervisory, management, and above positions?
Okay, so in DPSS, whenever there is an opportunity, let's say if a position becomes vacant, what we do in our department now is to, provided there's not an eligible list, right, and you're able to make an acting opportunity. So those opportunities outside your job are going to come one in two ways. Either you're going to be on an eligible list to be considered, or you're going to be given an opportunity to act in the position that has been vacant, that does not have that's been vacant and there's no eligible list, or the employee that's encumbered is out on a long-term leave of absence. But here's how we ensure transparency and equity and giving everyone to compete for it. We require a job announcement to go out, right? So we're looking to fill this acting opportunity. Interested employees, please provide a response by a specific time to be able to be considered for that position. So we do open it up to employees now, acting opportunities and transfer opportunities, so everyone can have an opportunity to participate.
Thank you so much. So Renee is back. So Renee, if you could go ahead and turn your camera on and unmute yourself. We would love to hear your comments. We're slightly over programmed, so if you could do it quickly, that'd be great. While you do that, Tina, if you could reread the question for our
Yes.
county star.
The question is, what is one key piece of advice you would give to new employees to help them succeed and build a lasting career with the County of Los Angeles?
Did we lose her again? No. Renee?
But we can't hear her.
Renee? So what we probably will do is I will connect with her later today. We will video record her message and we will post it on our Instagram account and maybe even YouTube. On behalf of the Los Angeles County African American Employees Association, LACAA, we thank you, DPSS. We thank you, members, for just being here today, because we know that the valuable information that we receive today will take us a long way. Again, we elevate, we educate, but most importantly, we empower. We hope that this session empowered you today. Take the step, move the needle. Have a great one, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores.
Thank
Wonderful.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was great.